The garage door stood open. That was the moment I realized Margaret's car had vanished. My name is Tyler Mitchell. I'm 58 years old and I've spent my entire life working on vehicles. I put in 40 years as a mechanic before retiring last year. Yet, as I stood in my kitchen, coffee growing cold between my fingers, staring out the window at the vacant garage, I felt as though I understood nothing anymore. Margaret would never have left that door open. In 35 years of marriage, she had never once forgotten to close the garage door overnight. But Margaret herself was no longer here. 8 months had passed since cancer claimed her. I placed the mug down and stepped outside. The concrete felt icy beneath my bare feet. I had walked out in my slippers without realizing it. The dark oil spot in the middle of the garage floor looked familiar. 20 years of the same car parked in the identical place had left its permanent trace. Now that spot sat empty. My chest tightened painfully. The 1969 Dodge Charger RT had disappeared. It had been Margaret's pride and joy. The car she had fallen for when we were both 25, the one we had saved for during our first year of marriage. The vehicle I had devoted every weekend for 2 decades to restoring until it was flawless. I moved over to my workbench. Every item remained precisely where I had left it. Tools hung neatly on the pegboard, each outlined in black marker. My red toolbox remained shut. Margaret's maintenance notebook lay open beside it. She had always recorded every bolt, every component, every upgrade we completed as a team. The final note was dated 3 weeks before her passing. Her script appeared weary yet resolute, almost finished with the interior work. Can't wait to start those road trips again once Tyler retires. This car will outlast both of us. I shut the notebook. The garage still carried the scent of her perfume blended with engine oil. I could nearly hear her laughter bouncing off the walls. Margaret had a special talent for turning even the most annoying repair into something exciting. She would bring me sandwiches and chilled beer, perch on that worn stool, and share stories from her day at the insurance company while I tinkered under the hood. "Hand me that wrench, honey," she would say, as if she always knew exactly which tool I required. Most times she did. 35 years of fixing cars side by side teaches you a great deal about your spouse. She could identify engine issues just by listening, and she never forgot a single part number or torque value. The cancer struck quickly. 6 months from the diagnosis until farewell. I kept believing we would have more time. Time for the journeys she had mapped out. Time to show our grandchildren about motors and fluid checks. Time to simply sit together in the garage on Sunday mornings, sipping coffee and appreciating what we had created. An engine growled outside. Mason's BMW turned into the driveway. My son climbed out, and even from a distance I could tell he avoided meeting my gaze. At 38 years old, he still wore that same guilty expression he had as a child. The passenger door swung open. Ashley emerged, flawless as usual. Expensive outfit, flawless hair, that smile that somehow never touched her eyes. She had been married to Mason for 2 years, yet I still felt I barely knew her. Every discussion seemed scripted, as though she were performing a part. Margaret had spoken to me about Ashley several times before her illness worsened. "Something feels off about her, Tyler," she had said one night while we repaired the Charger's transmission. "She asks far too many questions about finances, about the house. Questions that go beyond ordinary interest." I had dismissed it at the time, told Margaret she was being overly cautious, that Mason seemed content, and that was what counted. Now I wished I had paid closer attention. Mason approached me and halted at the edge of the driveway. "Dad," I waited. "I need to discuss something with you." "Where is the car, Mason?" His jaw clenched. "That's exactly what I wanted to talk about. Where is it?" "I sold it yesterday." The statement struck me like a blow to the stomach. "You did what?" "I sold Mom's car. I needed the cash." My hands began to tremble. That belonged to your mother. It was just sitting there unused. His tone turned defensive. You don't even take it out. Mom is gone, Dad. The car was only gathering dust. But it wasn't merely gathering dust. Every Sunday morning I would go out and start the engine. Let it warm up, check the levels, ensure everything operated smoothly. It was how I kept Margaret near, how I honored the effort we had shared. The sound of that motor felt like hearing her voice once more. Ashley joined us then, placing her hand on Mason's arm. Those bright red nails appeared sharp to me. Tyler, we know this is difficult emotionally. She spoke in her polished tone. But Mason required that money. We have a wonderful chance in Paris. My professional contacts there could transform our lives. I studied my son carefully. He had lost weight. Dark rings shadowed his eyes. When was the last time he had smiled without Ashley encouraging him? When did you remove it? Yesterday afternoon, while you were at the hardware store. He still kept his old key from when he lived here. I received a decent amount for it too. $15,000. $15,000 for a vehicle worth at least $185,000 in its restored state. Margaret and I had recorded every detail of the restoration, saved every receipt for each component, all specifications matching a fully restored 1969 Charger RT carried significant value. Any experienced dealer would recognize that immediately. I wanted to seize him and shake sense into him, make him grasp what he had done. But 40 years of correcting other people's errors had taught me to keep my voice even when everything inside felt shattered. You should have spoken to me first. Would you have agreed? No. Ashley moved closer. Tyler, you must see that Mason is trying to create a future. We both are. Surely you want the best for your son. What I want is for my son to honor his mother's memory. Her smile stayed steady. Margaret has passed. Mason is still here. He is alive, and he needs this chance. The casual way she spoke Margaret's name, as if it held no meaning, sent a chill through me. No affection, no regard, no recognition of what Margaret had represented to this family. They departed 10 minutes afterward. I watched the BMW vanish around the bend, then returned to the garage. I stood in the vacant area where the Charger belonged. The quiet felt unnatural, damaged. I picked up Margaret's notebook once more, read the final note about future drives and the car surviving us. My throat tightened. She had been preparing for a life she would never experience, laboring on a vehicle she would never operate again. I turned the pages, recalling. Here was the note from when we first purchased the car in 1989. Tyler thinks I'm mad for taking on such a large project, but I can picture what this gem can become. It will be our retirement journey. Another from 1995. Rebuilt the carburetor today. Tyler held the light and insisted I was doing it incorrectly the entire time, then confessed I had done it better than he could. That's my husband. Stubborn, yet truthful. From 2003. Mason assisted us with the new interior today. He's becoming skilled with tools just like his father. Perhaps one day he will value what we are creating here. The bitter irony of that entry struck me hard. I closed the notebook and went indoors. Sat at the kitchen table where Margaret and I had shared breakfast every morning for 35 years. The house seemed too silent without her soft humming as she prepared coffee. Too vacant without her sharing intriguing snippets from the newspaper. The phone rang at 7 o'clock the following morning. I had been awake since 4, seated at that same table with Margaret's notebook open before me. Mr. Mitchell, this is Nathan Brooks from Brooks Classic Auto. I have your wife's car. I straightened up. What? Your son delivered it on Wednesday. I need you to visit the dealership. There is something Margaret wanted you to learn. I recalled Nathan from Margaret's service, the gray-haired man who had remained in the back and left before I could speak with him. I don't understand. Margaret was my friend. She rescued my business 25 years ago when no bank would provide a loan. This dealership exists because she co-signed for me. His voice faltered. Please, Mr. Mitchell, can you come? 30 minutes later, I stood inside Nathan's showroom. The space was neat, contemporary, filled with classic cars shining under the lights. Classic Camaros, Mustangs, a few Corvettes. The sort of place Margaret would have enjoyed exploring. Your wife saved my life, Nathan said as we headed toward the service area. In 1999, I dreamed of starting a classic car business, but I was young, lacked credit, had no assets. Only enthusiasm and plenty of determination. Margaret trusted in me when no one else did. She never mentioned it. That was Margaret. She never sought recognition for her kindness. Nathan's eyes appeared watery. When your son delivered the charger, I recognized it right away. Margaret showed me photographs every time we met. Described every enhancement you both completed. Mason claimed he sold it. He did. To me. I paid him the $15,000 because he appeared desperate. Mentioned something about a Paris journey with his wife. Nathan paused. But, Mr. Mitchell, that car was never intended to stay with me. We stepped into the service bay. The area was spacious, with white flooring and bright overhead lighting. The Charger rested there beneath protective covers, and seeing it again nearly buckled my knees. Nathan drew back the cover. The deep burgundy finish looked flawless, chrome sparkling. Every curve exactly as Margaret and I had restored it. 2 years ago, Margaret requested my assistance with something, Nathan explained. A concealed compartment behind the radio. She made me promise that if anything happened to her, I would ensure you learned of it. I opened the driver's door and settled into the leather seat. It still carried her perfume. Margaret had insisted on a lavender-scented leather cleaner, said it made extended drives more soothing. Nathan demonstrated how to open the panel behind the radio. Press here, pull there. The radio face detached, exposing a secret space. Inside lay a USB drive and a sealed envelope addressed to me. Nathan stepped away, exited the bay, and left me alone with whatever Margaret had prepared. I opened the envelope first. Margaret's familiar handwriting covered the page, dated 2 months before her death. Tyler, if you are reading this, I am gone, and Ashley has begun her plan. I have been looking into her for 18 months. She is not who she claims to be. Her real name is Nicole Stevens. She has done this twice before, at least as far as I have discovered. This USB holds everything I collected. Photographs, records, contact details for her earlier victims. Their experiences match exactly. She focuses on men who have older parents and family resources. The method is always identical. Build financial stress, then persuade them to liquidate family assets. My hand trembled as I continued reading. I confronted her once, carefully observing her response. She is extremely talented at manipulation. Mason will not accept this without solid evidence, and I lacked enough before the cancer advanced. She has been inquiring about our house, about your retirement funds, about whether you have considered assisted living. She is laying the groundwork, Tyler. The letter went on. If you are reading this, complete what I began. Safeguard our son. He is a victim as well, just like the husbands of her previous targets. Call the numbers on the USB. Inquire about Nicole Stevens. Ask what she did to their families. I love you both. This is my final present to shield what we constructed together. Margaret. I inserted the USB into Nathan's computer with unsteady hands. Folders containing photographs filled the screen. Ashley at various weddings with different men, marriage documents. Nicole Stevens wed to Brandon Cooper in Phoenix, 2019. Nicole Stevens wed to Trevor Johnson in Tampa, 2021. News stories about elder fraud schemes. Headlines that sickened me. Local family loses life savings to daughter-in-law scheme. Elderly woman passes in care home after property sale. Margaret's observations about Ashley's conduct over the past 2 years. Dates, moments, particular discussions. Inquired about house deed location, March 15th. Remarked on Tyler appearing forgetful, April 2nd. Left brochure for Sunset Hills Senior Living on kitchen counter, April 18th. The scheme was evident. It had been developing for months. Ashley had been crafting a story that I was failing, readying Mason to accept that his father required assistance. Phone numbers for Brandon Cooper and Trevor Johnson appeared at the bottom of one file. Margaret's closing note. Needs solid proof before informing Mason. He will not believe me without it. She is too accomplished at this. If you are reading this and I am gone, please complete what I started. Nathan returned shortly afterward, standing in the doorway as I gazed at the screen. She knew, didn't she? I nodded, unable to speak for a moment. Margaret had shielded me even after her departure. That was her nature. I phoned Brandon Cooper that afternoon from Nathan's office. He picked up after the second ring. Mr. Cooper, my name is Tyler Mitchell, clears throat. My son is married to a woman named Nicole Stevens, though she goes by Ashley Parker. A lengthy pause followed, then a deep sigh. I wondered when this call might arrive. Brandon shared his experience. He met Nicole at a community center where his elderly mother volunteered. Charming, understanding, made him feel renewed after losing his wife. Married 6 months later. She seemed ideal, Brandon recalled. Supportive during my mourning, helpful with Mom, always offering to improve things. I believed I had found someone extraordinary. After the wedding, Nicole began making subtle remarks about his mother. She appears confused these days. Have you noticed? I worry about her driving. What if an accident occurs? Over time, she constructed a narrative that his mother was unsafe by herself, found articles on dementia, placed them where Brandon would discover them. Ordinary lapses suddenly seemed like major decline. She persuaded me to sell Mom's house for $280,000 to fund memory care, claiming Mom deserved the finest facility available. Brandon's voice faltered. 2 weeks after the funds reached our joint account, Nicole vanished, took everything. Mom passed 6 months later, devastated, repeatedly asking when she could return home. I'm sorry. Mom was fine, Mr. Mitchell, only slightly forgetful as any 85-year-old might be. She didn't require that facility. She needed her home, her garden, her freedom. Trevor Johnson's account followed a similar path, though with distinct specifics. He encountered Nicole at his father's funeral. She supported him through the sorrow, convinced him to sell his father's auto repair business for $195,000. 3 days after the payment cleared, she disappeared, fled to Costa Rica with the funds. She studies her targets beforehand, Trevor explained. Learns everything before making contact. Does your son have access to your house or finances? I considered Ashley's inquiries over the past 2 years, about the house deed, about my retirement accounts, about whether I had considered downsizing. Not yet. Then you still have time. Halt her before she gets him to sign documents. Record everything she has done up to now. That evening, I returned home with Margaret's USB drive and letter tucked in my jacket. Sat at my kitchen table and compiled a list of every unusual comment or action I recalled from Ashley. The design was obvious now. 6 months earlier, asking where I stored important documents. 4 months earlier, noting that the house felt large for one person. 2 months earlier, mentioning I appeared weary. Maybe I should consult a doctor about my memory. Last month, that assisted living brochure slipping from her bag. She had been constructing her story for months, conditioning Mason to believe his father needed support. I telephoned Mason that night. I need to speak with you about something important. Can you stop by tomorrow? Just you. What is it about? Your mother, something she prepared for us. Silence on the line. Ashley and I don't hide things from each other, Dad. This is only between you and me. Please, Mason. A long hesitation. All right, but I'll have to let Ashley know where I'm going. That's okay. He arrived the following afternoon by himself as requested, yet he appeared anxious stepping from the vehicle. I had coffee prepared and Margaret's letter resting on the kitchen table. Mason noticed it, and his posture stiffened. "Dad, if this concerns the car again—" "Sit down, please." He sat, arms folded, already guarded. I drew a breath, using the steady tone I once employed when teaching him to change oil at age 12. Calm, patient, straightforward. "Before I reveal anything, I need you to listen carefully. Truly listen. Can you manage that?" "This feels like a setup." "It's protection." I placed Margaret's letter into his hands. Mason read through it, his face growing pale with every line. Dad was looking into Ashley for 18 months before she passed. His response came immediately. Fury, rejection. Mom never approved of her. She worried about everything. This is absurd. I remained composed. Stay calm. Examine the proof. I opened the laptop and displayed the images. Ashley at 2 separate weddings with 2 different men. The marriage records. Nicole Stevens married to Brandon Cooper. Nicole Stevens married to Trevor Johnson. Mason stared. This could be coincidence. Someone sharing the name. Call them. Ask about their wives. I gave him the sheet with phone numbers written in Margaret's precise script. You expect me to contact strangers? They aren't strangers. They were married to your wife before you. Mason rose and began pacing the kitchen. This is crazy. Ashley wouldn't. She loves me. Then prove me mistaken. Call them. Prove your mother mistaken. He snatched the paper, crushed it, and headed for the exit. I stood. Mason, please. He turned, and I glimpsed something in his eyes I hadn't seen since he was a frightened young boy. Doubt. Fear. Why are you doing this? Can't you just allow me to be happy? My voice cracked. Because your mother spent her final months trying to shield you, and I refuse to let those efforts go to waste. Mason slammed the door as he left. I watched him drive off, uncertain whether he would dial those numbers or rush to Ashley. In either case, the decision now belonged to him. The wait proved agonizing. I remained at that kitchen table for hours, unable to eat or concentrate on anything else. Each passing car made me glance up, hoping it was Mason returning. At midnight, my phone rang. Dad, Mason's voice sounded shattered, hoarse as if he had wept for hours. What happened? I called them, both of them. He drew a trembling breath. Everything Mom wrote is accurate. The identical story, precisely the same. Brandon's mother, Trevor's father's shop. It's all genuine. My heart raced. What did you do? I returned home furious after leaving your place. I was so angry with you, with Mom, with everything, but those marriage records stayed in my mind. They appeared authentic. So I decided to test Ashley, just asked straightforward questions. What kind of questions? Where she was raised, what her original last name was. Tell me about her relatives. Her replies were entirely different. Not slightly off, completely unlike what she had told me earlier. Different city, different university, different parents' names. I shut my eyes. What occurred next? I pressed further, inquired about credit cards I discovered in my name. Cards I had never requested, $32,000 in debt I knew nothing about. His tone flattened. Her entire expression shifted. Dad, as if a mask fell away. She claimed they were business ventures I wouldn't comprehend. When I asked for the statements, she said she owed me no explanation, that I should trust my wife. Then what? I continued pressing. Said I wanted to review all the documents, wanted to know where our funds were going. She packed a suitcase immediately. No more acting. Called me weak, just like the rest. Said I was pathetic, that she had wasted 3 years on me. Mason's voice shattered entirely. She walked out, Dad, got into her car and drove away. I've been trying her phone for hours. No response. I was already grabbing my jacket. Stay put. I'm contacting someone who can assist. Scott Williams was the investigator Nathan had suggested. He answered immediately, as though expecting the call. I'm already following her using the credit cards, Scott said. She checked into the airport Marriott an hour ago. Made several cash withdrawals. Collected around $48,000 total. My stomach sank. She's fleeing. Yes, and she just reserved a flight. Mexico City, 6 o'clock morning departure. One way. Can authorities detain her? I've spoken with detectives in Arizona and Florida. They will issue warrants based on prior cases, but I require Mason's statement regarding the credit card fraud to strengthen it locally. At 3 o'clock in the morning, we gathered at my house, Scott, Mason, and myself. Mason appeared broken. Bloodshot eyes, no sleep, hands unsteady as he gripped his coffee. Scott explained the details, while Mason provided his statement. Ashley is departing on a 6 o'clock flight. Police are prepared to apprehend her on existing warrants, but your account of the forged cards completes the case here. Mason glanced at me. What would Mom want? Your mother devoted her final months to building evidence against Ashley. She passed before completing it. I rested my hand on his shoulder. She would want you to prevent Ashley from harming another family. We drove to the airport in Scott's vehicle. Dawn was arriving as we reached the terminal. Business travelers hauled luggage, appearing weary. Officers were already stationed near security. Mason had remained silent since entering the car. He simply stared forward, absorbing all that had occurred. At 5:30, Ashley appeared. 2 oversized suitcases, stylish coat, sunglasses even in the dim light. She looked composed, assured, like someone heading off on holiday. She joined the security queue, advancing her bags. The detectives advanced. Ma'am, we need to speak with you. Ashley turned and spotted them. For a brief instant, her composure cracked. Then the smile reappeared. Is there an issue, officers? We have a warrant for your arrest, Nicole Stevens. She scanned the area, calculating. Noticed the second detective blocking the exit. Then she bolted, dropped her bags, kicked off her shoes, sprinted in stockings across the smooth floor. Airport security stopped her before she covered 20 feet, tackled her beside the departure display. She struggled, kicking and shouting, "Get off me! I've done nothing!" Onlookers paused, observed, phones raised. Police secured her in cuffs as she twisted and swore. They searched her discarded luggage on the spot. The first suitcase held clothing and typical travel belongings. The second contained bundles of cash fastened with bands. A passport bearing her photo but the name Linda Brennan, plus an external hard drive. Ashley noticed us standing 30 feet away, saw Mason next to me. Her face twisted into raw fury. "You caused this!" she shrieked at him. "You're pathetic, weak, just like the rest. You actually believed someone like me would truly want you?" I moved in front of Mason. Ashley shifted her attack to me. This was mine, my plan. 3 years I invested preparing this. You should have stayed out of it and died already. Her shouts rang through the terminal as officers pulled her away, her threats growing fainter until she vanished. 2 weeks afterward, we discovered Nicole's true identity was Linda Martinez. She had operated scams for 8 years, with 5 verified victims. She accepted a plea agreement, receiving 12 years in federal prison. Mason returned to live at home and began therapy sessions twice weekly. Some days he managed well, assisted with chores, and even smiled now and then. Other days he spoke little and remained in his room. I didn't pressure him, simply maintained a secure environment, prepared his preferred dishes, and kept coffee ready. One Saturday morning, I discovered him in the garage, clutching Margaret's notebook, tears streaming down his cheeks. "I found this note from when I was 12, he said. "Mom wrote about teaching me to change oil, said she was proud of me, that these were moments she would cherish." I sat on the workbench next to him, She treasured those times. I sold her car, Dad. His voice cracked. For $15,000 for a trip to impress a woman who intended to ruin us. I retrieved Margaret's letter, the section noting that Mason was also a victim. He reread it and broke down fully. We remained in that garage for quite a while, surrounded by the tools and recollections Margaret had left us. 2 months later, Nathan phoned. "I'm returning her to you." I heard the charger before spotting it, that rich rumble that quickened my pulse. Nathan drove into the driveway, stepped out, grinning. "This was never meant for me," he said, offering the keys. "Margaret created this for her family." We reversed the charger into the garage together. Same location, same oil mark. The garage felt complete once more. Now we tend to the car every Sunday morning. Mason brings Margaret's notebook. I bring coffee. We examine every component, inspecting, learning, remembering. Mason is regaining his skill with tools, like when he was younger. "Mom would be thrilled by this," he said one morning, a smile on his face. "She is thrilled," I replied. "She is still with us." Margaret had been correct. The car did survive her. Yet even more, her love endured as well. Her research, her planning, her final present. It rescued our family and reunited us. Some things deserve our defense. Family, honesty, the remembrance of those who loved us most. Margaret showed me that, and she continues to guide me today. The ones who genuinely love us never cease watching over us. They simply discover new methods to do so. Thanks for watching my video.